Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys some of the processes I use to paint. This is going to include dry brushing, kind of cell shading, comic book shading, panel lining, airbrushing, and then I'll just be talking about some general helpful tips to help bring out some live and some of the details in some of these figures. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so real quick before we get into the actual techniques that I use, I'll be covering the tools. So this is kind of just a general, you can get more or less. You don't really need all of these, but they'll just help you out and kind of, getting that effect you really want. So the first one is going to be for panel lining. So this is just an acrylic paint pen. Has a pretty fine point, as you can see. So people usually use Gundam markers and stuff, but I didn't really feel like waiting for Amazon to bring them in. And then the one I got previously also died kind of fast, like it dried up really quick. So I just went ahead and got this one. I've had this one for probably like 2-3 weeks now, and it's still good. But I got this one at Michael's, so if you got one, you can go ahead and find this. And then pretty much the only two paintbrushes that you're gonna need for this kind of painting is a dry brush, I forgot exactly what they call these, but let's see, come on, focus up. It's just like you don't need this. You can kind of get away with any kind of brush, but I feel this one works the best because of how kind of sporadic everything is. It's easy to wipe off the paint and get like just the right amount of paint on it. So I really like this. And then you have your more precision. So this one's going to be used for like in case you're doing cell shading and you choose to use acrylic paint instead of an acrylic paint pen. You're going to need a precision pen to really get those fine lines. Okay, now so for the dry brushing section, I'll be using this Godzilla Earth SH Monster Arts, or I think they call them Godzilla 2017 also, as an example. So if you guys are like me, I am a very visual learner, so I need to see kind of the way it worked and the way it looks, like the before and after, in order to understand. So this is like the base. This is all I did with this is add like a little bit of a matte finish. That's all I did, but there's no paint on this side. So as you can tell, there's like very subtle, very subtle green shading throughout. You can kind of see it. Let me see. Turn up the light here. So you see it a little bit more, but like it's like right there, a little bit right there. Yes, some here and there. And then overall, I think like just the whole body is like a dark green, like a really dark green instead of like black. But then I'll turn it around. Boom. So that's after like turquoise shading. And I don't know if this is how he actually looks in the movie, but I was like Googling images of it, kind of looking to get some inspiration, and I really dug the way this looks. Kind of the more like, like turquoise slash like, really light viridian, or I just really like the way it looks. And like this is what I was talking about, where this brings out a lot of the details. So like, especially on the legs, like this Godzilla is designed to kind of look like a tree, or be built like a tree, with all the like, rough lines going through it, the muscles, like everything is kind of supposed to look like a tree. And then if you look at the dorsal fins, they also look like leaves, which personally, this is my favorite version of Godzilla, but whatever. And then yeah, just one more so you guys can see it live. That's no shading, and then that's dry brush. And I mean, I love it. I'm still not done with it. And then just to double down, I'll throw in the pictures at the end of the video for this one. But if you guys have seen this statue before, it's just like pretty much, it's like, I don't want to say it's a cheap statue, but it's just, it doesn't have a whole lot of paint detail. It has a lot of detail in there. And then I feel like that's one of the things that kind of kills a lot of these companies, is the like lack of showing all the detail. Like McFarlane is notorious for that also. And then just a little bit of shading. So this was pretty much all black except the dorsal plates, which were just, this is the original color of the dorsal plates, that like metallic purple. But I went ahead and then just straight, like I didn't use any primer or anything, and did all that gray dry brushing. So literally all I did was get a, you know, light gray, and then just went to town on it. And then for some people this might be a little bit excessive, but I've always liked the gray shading. And then if you can kind of tell, let me see, there's like some purple shading I did on the shoulders, just, and then alongside the dorsal plates also, because there is none, to kind of give it like a little bit of that like glow effect, like he was glowing. And then I did add like the eyes and stuff. So there's like a lot of detail you can bring out and make it visible and make it stand out on the shelf just by doing a little bit of, you know, dry brushing. And to be completely honest, it's probably the easiest form of like bringing out details. It's not, literally all you need is one brush and like a paper towel and just to paint, you know. And I use like the like 50 cents dollar paints from Walmart, and that's what I use. And I mean, personally, I really like this. I really like the way it looks. So yeah. Okay, so for the panel lining, I feel like this one's a lot more self-explanatory and will not take as long. This is really like the only figure that I can think of that I've done like in the recent future that really was like quote-unquote panel lining. But I missed I just noticed I missed this part. But if you can tell, I did the little panel lining like inside the armor right there. Did a little bit on the outside, the lines right here, and then I did the back. And then I still gotta do the brown part, but like all the white parts pretty much have the panel lining. And then obviously you can see I added the little like what are they called? Like the patrol, space patrol, or whatever the hell it's called, the Jocko thing from the Moro arc in the manga. Okay, now I'll be talking about the airbrushing. So I wanted to bring this up because I think this is like pretty useful information, just to show that you don't need an airbrush, but you can. It makes your life a lot easier. So this one, I'm gonna try to get the light on there really well. As you can see, I did like the purple highlighting. The symbol I did with just a regular paint, you know, just a brush and paint. And then as you can see, I added the purple shading all over the muscles. And then still gotta paint the back here. But I did on the tendrils also, the ass cheeks, the muscles and everything. Added the purple highlighting. And this is with an airbrush, so I will say that with the airbrush it does look a little bit more full, the colors anyway. But now, set this one to the side real quick. And then this one, same scheme pretty much. My favorite version of the Symbio is the one with the purple highlighting. But as you can see, I also did it. And this one, I did it with the dry brush. And so basically, like the main difference is like, as you can see, here it's definitely not as precise on the muscles. Like it's pretty precise, but not as much. Like right here, I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of splotched just because you can't really get in there that well. But it still looks really good, and it has like a more handmade look to it. So if you're into that, it looks good. But I mean, as you can tell, they both look really good. So yeah. Okay, and just a quick tidbit on airbrushing is also the settings are pretty much going to be the name of the game. So I use a one setting compressor. It's 25 psi. As you can tell, like it looks pretty good. Like it's really not going to affect you that much on like big figures like this. But when you are getting like smaller and more precise, it definitely does, because you want to run like a little bit of a less or not as much psi as 25. Like you kind of want to dumb it down to like maybe, you know, 14, 15. But yeah, just a quick tidbit. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Like I learned how to airbrush on YouTube, so I mean I could do a video myself if you guys want to see that. But Airbrushing is kind of its own thing. It's not something you can really learn that quickly. But yeah. Alright. Now for like the cell shading or comic book shading, whatever you want to call it, like how you see on the Spider-Man I did. Same thing, I use this one. Like this one has a lot of uses, that's why I really like it. This one I used acrylic paint, like on a brush, but this would make your life a lot easier. But yeah, for this one I'll actually be showing you guys how it kind of, how I go about doing it. Just to kind of show you guys, because I had a subscriber or viewer ask about this one specifically. So, yeah, let me get set up real quick. Alright guys, now bear with me for this part. So basically, when it comes to the cell shading, or the comic book shading, I always get a reference point. I'll just get like a random panel of whatever body part I'm going to be doing just to kind of see how it works. But you can also pretty much, like, I mean, the way they do it in comic books anyway is like, especially with the light, like you can kind of see where on the figure you should be doing it. Like there's a deep shadow in here, along here, in between the back muscles, like all over the back, in the trap areas, like wherever you think light would be trapped or wouldn't be getting into, that's kind of where you want to go. So for like the back, if you want to make it look, kind of using this one a little bit as a guide, so you can kind of get in there and just, get a little bit of paint. And then one thing that kind of makes it look more dynamic is if you like kind of make it go outwards, so on the angle. So kind of make it jump out a little bit. And then you can do it all the way up here. And then same thing with all of these. And my bad guys, but my other hand's getting in the way of the light, so yeah. Same thing, you kind of, and then kind of leave a little bit of space in some points to kind of give it, it's not just like tracing, you're not just tracing in between the muscles, so kind of. And then this part, like again, this is one of those things that is kind of up to you how heavy you go with the shading. Like, and this isn't gonna be my best work just because I'm not used to painting in front of a camera. Like usually for stuff like this, I'll have it in my lap, and then like for stuff like this, like you kind of boom, get a rough line. And the good thing about using acrylic paint like this is it's really easy to wash. So if you like maybe go a little bit too heavy and you don't want it like that, and you can just wipe it off. Like I could probably just go get like a little Q-tip, get a little bit of alcohol, and then just rub it off. And then like some areas like this, like you'd want to like do some cross hatching. So basically you just do a line and then boom, boom. Same thing right here. And then right here, like, again, you can kind of go a little crazy with it. And then again, like I said, you can go as heavy as you want or as light as you want. And then, kind of go from there. So, pretty similar. Like this one's kind of more rough. Like I said, it's on camera, so it's not going to be as precise. But then like I was saying, like you want to kind of follow the muscles. So like there's going to be shading under the pecs right here. So do a little bit heavy right there. And then you kind of like go up. And then you can, for the muscles, you go down the middle and then kind of go down and around just to kind of highlight the ab area. And then for this part, like for the lats, you kind of want to get in between all of them, because this is one of those areas that is going to have like a deep cast of shadows and is really going to kind of push that point that it's supposed to be a comic book shading, is getting in between like those big areas with a lot of potential for shading. That's like, you know what I mean? Like that already is kind of highlighting the muscles. And again, like this isn't my best work by any means, but that's kind of a rough tutorial on how to do it. But again, like I would take your time and really get, you know, a good feel of how heavy you want the shading to be, where you want it, you know, what muscle groups you want to enhance, because, you know, like that's kind of the end goal, right? And then there's a guy on Instagram that I also took some inspiration from. It's named like El Chico Aracnido or something like that. And he has like really good figures with shading. And honestly, that's like one of the biggest things, is just finding what the source of inspiration is, and then trying to emulate it, but also at the same time like kind of making it your own. You know what I mean? So yeah. Okay, now to show you guys kind of how the dry brushing works. So again, as you can see, I got that shading going, so I'm kind of just going to continue. So the trick about dry brushing, right, is you want to keep kind of your hand light and just kind of go with the highlights. So pretty much what I mean by the highlights is like the parts of the figure that not only you want to get the dry brushing on, but like the high points, right? So like here I'm trying to, you see like there I went a little bit too heavy, so that thing wipe off, good as new. Pat it down a little bit more to get some of that paint off, but there you go, now I'm getting it good. So pretty much all I'm trying to do is highlight the striations, you know, like the tree striations that he's got going on, and then, you know, we'll see what else we want to do from there. And then this is the trick, is you basically, you get the wet paint and you want to keep it as thick as possible, like to the regular, like just when you pour it out of the bottle. You don't want to water it down too much, because then it's gonna be too wet. That's what she said. And then you're gonna have to dry it off a lot more often. But here I kind of got it to the perfect consistency that I like to work with. And then just go ahead, and you can already kind of see it's a little bit of a slow process, but I mean, yesterday that whole other section that I showed you guys took me probably like 15 minutes to do, so it doesn't take like outlandishly long. But and if you want to expedite it, you can go ahead, but I enjoy doing this. This is like therapeutic for me, so I really like doing this, taking my time. And then like for this part, since it's like a big chunk and you can't really see it, like I said, you want to keep your hand light and just like let the brush kind of go for you. I feel like I sound like Bob Ross right now, but yeah, keep your hand light and just kind of go with the muscle, and then eventually it'll start bringing out those highlights in the muscles, like the little striations, like I said. But yeah, so you can kind of see it there starting to take form. But yeah, and the like really good thing about dry brushing is that you can go as heavy as you want or as light as you want, you know, depending on time, you know, how much you want on there and whatnot, different factors. But it's really easily controllable. Unlike, you know, airbrushing is kind of, unless you're willing to drop like, you know, $70 plus on a like airbrush compressor that you can control really well, you're kind of going to be stuck on one setting and kind of once you have that one setting, you kind of gotta finagle it a lot more than dry brushing. So yeah, just like I said, keep your hand light and go with it, and then little by little you start bringing it out. But yeah, I don't want to go on for too long, but yeah, it's pretty much how you dry brush, and as you can see, it's starting to look more uniform across the board. And yeah, like this alone, like, I love this figure already. Like I said, this is my favorite version of Godzilla, but just this little bit of dry brushing, like, I don't know why I've had this figure for like probably a year now, and I've never thought about doing this. Probably because it was like really expensive. But yeah, I really like the way it goes. And then I'm planning on like doing some primer on here, some like white primer, and then making these dorsal fins look glowing. I'm still on the fence about that, but for the meantime, I definitely am gonna go through with the dry brushing, and I'm really happy with the result. But yeah, guys, without further ado, that pretty much wraps up the video. I just kind of wanted to show you guys some of the methods that I use for painting that help bring some life to the figures, bring those details out, and just overall make them better pieces than they already are. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to watch me cover. But yeah, the viewer that asked for this, I hope you found this helpful. But yeah, I don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, drop a comment, all that good stuff. And yeah, y'all take it easy.